Hello, hello. This is my poison arc build using Mjölner with Festering Resentment and Static Strike to trigger our arc, and then running around with Phase Run and Withering Touch for damage. So really, in short, you grab those two weapons plus an Elegant Hubris so you can actually equip them, and you've got a pretty cool build going on. For this setup, I added in the Gloom Shrine for Explode, and then the new Bloodline to add Cruelty to our arc for 40% more poison damage from that. And then yeah, we get a really comfy build for running around blowing up packs. It's been great for breaches and been doing a lot of delve with it as well. Got to level 98 from doing breach and beyond quite easily. So yeah, a lot of fun, a real blast to play. The one true weakness with this is like pure single target, since our damage comes from all of the arcs spamming around. So without a bunch of mobs to arc from, single target can be a little tough. We do use the penance mark to help some, but it's not quite enough in most situations. So yeah, defensively we got 75 block and 100% spell suppress. We're going Saboteur, so we get blind on hit, and I've got like 15,000 evasion right now. The Saboteur also gives us 15% reduced damage, and then also running a Mortal Call on block. And since we're going poison, we can prevent all crits from that. And then running the new Excommunicate gives us preventing all chaos damage, which is pretty cool. So overall, Arc's in a great place. This build's been a blast to play, a lot of fun for something just to get the arcs going, get your GPU ramped up, and have a good old time. Alright, so let's take a look at the build in some more detail. So yeah, the core of it is built around using a Mjölner here with Arc, the Greater Chain support, and Unbound Ailments. And then we also get Deadly Ailments imbued on the Arc here. And combo that with Festering Resentment, which gives us all our triggered spells poison on hit, and all that damage from the triggered spells can poison. So that turns our Arc build into a poison build with just this second weapon here. And then this also gives us a nice 45% for spell block, which is quite handy defensively. Other key items is then in the belt, so the new cool belt here. The Gloom Shrine is great for Explode. You don't necessarily need it. I was running around without it for quite a while, but you just have to individually hit all the enemies, whereas with the Explodes, the pack's clear gets much better. And then Replenishing Shrine. I think Replenishing Shrine's super underrated. Especially for this build. I don't have any investment in life regen or any investment in mana regen. 100% of that's coming from Replenishing Shrine, and that makes it so I can actually use my mana for skills and have enough regen to be comfortable with it. So yeah, Gloom Replenishing is easy to get and works great for this build. Other key gear is I went ahead and incorporated the Betrayal Sting to give us 48% more poisons, to kind of that extra poison chance. And then unfortunately you kind of have to use Penance Mark to give us that little extra single target boost, because the way the damage works is we need all those arcs to chain around. I think in total we've got 18 chains. So this gives us a few extra targets for the chains to chain off of when we get into those like single target situations. So I would prefer to not have to run it, but it's useful when we need it. Other gear, also doing a bit of a gem quality stack here. So got an Ashes, a high quality Ashes like this. We'll talk about why it's 33 in a second, but you do not need this to kind of get the build off the ground at all. Well, you really don't need this at all for the build, but just a 20% quality is all you need to get the next breakpoint for Arc. So yeah, we still get the 18 chains even with only 20 quality here. So you don't need the full quality for the main Arc, but I do use it for other skills in the build. And then yeah, the rest of the gear is just evasion gear, getting life and resists, evasion, life and resists. The gloves are important to get the Vol Strike skill, or non-Vol Strike skill for one additional target. just to make it a little more convenient when you're trying to hit with your static strike. And then the boots, I got a little extra cooldown. We take the cooldown node from Saboteur, but then this 5% extra is what gets us to the next breakpoint. So our Arc has that 16% cooldown time. I think if I take these off, yeah, we go to 17. So not a big difference, but it's enough to be worth putting that on there for a little extra, more procs that way. So yeah, other gems. The Static Strike is how we're actually triggering the main skill here. And this one's great because this is just, you just hit once and then the beams count as melee hits. And so that triggers the socketed spell on the Mjölner here. And linked up with that, we go Greater Chain as well. The +1 chain also applies to the Static Strike, so you can kind of see when it's running around, the Static Strike not only hits once, but then will chain a bunch of times. Other supports, the increased AoE, so this increases the range that that first beam can hit, so it's just kind of more of a quality of life thing. Additional accuracy, we need accuracy to be able to actually hit, and so running that, and then these two just to get more quality. So eventually this could be upgraded, and I don't think it's super necessary to get a level 4, level 5, it's just they go slightly faster. Because in practice, those extra chains kind of fully saturate the proc rate of the Arc, so even without the quality stacking, just having those chains going around is enough to like in dense packs, this will fully be proccing all the time. So the beam speed doesn't really matter that much, but you know, faster is cooler and better. So stacking up the quality there to make the beams hit more often. Other gems, I am running the toads here. The toads are pretty cool because they will, since I'm Saboteur with trigger bots, you get 2 toads at a time. And getting level 4 is actually worth it. I didn't realize this until I bought one, is the spawn rate goes from 1 second to 0.7 seconds. So you get way more toads popping all out. And the main reason to run this is to trigger our cruelty support. So since we get cruelty added on to Arc here from the bloodline, but the Arc doesn't have a very high hit damage, especially since we've got deadly ailments on there. So running cruelty on the Hex Toad here helps us proc the cruelty more consistently and keep the higher uptime with all the toads going off. And then also got life tap just to make it easier to cast, and running that with our despair here as well. And oh yeah, getting a consecrated effect on despair. Nobody wants this unless you're running Hex Toad, so this was pretty cheap, and then gives a little more damage to our actual toad guys as when they pop. So that's pretty fun to use the new stuff. Other skills I'm using is a combo with both Phase Run and Withering Step, since once the Static Strike kind of buff is on you, these both work fine because you're not doing any actions again, so they'll stay up and you can just run around while the beams are striking. So Phase Run here is for kind of replacing the Quicksilver Flask and for moving around. And it's actually quite nice because it's basically always up, since we've got all our cooldown stacking already from being a Saboteur. This is pretty much always up. And then our Withering Step for kind of when we get in a situation where we need to put on a bunch of Wither stacks. Thanks to the quality stack, we actually get a full 15 Wither debuffs, which is the max Wither you can put from just the one button, which is pretty cool. So that's why my Ashes is 33 quality. This is 33 quality plus the 23 from this, plus a level 4 enhance to get 24. Anyway, it all adds up to hit us just to that breakpoint we need to get the extra quality there for +8 Wither debuffs, along with the base, whatever you get 7. So yeah, 15 total right on that one button, and boom, you got your full stacks. Which is pretty cool, because Wither is one of those things where it's kind of a PoB trick, where it's like, look at my damage, I just clicked 15 Wither stacks, but like it's kind of hard to get. But with this, you can actually just click and get 15 Wither stacks. Super cool. And then I linked that with Flame Dash, where getting a more duration imbue on the flame dash is much easier than getting more duration on one of these. Plus I kind of want the extra quality here anyway, so since the imbue supports all the gems, put more duration on flame dash and then links it in here, so these are both have more duration as well. Up here in the helmet where I've got auras, just Flesh and Stone, Precision, and Malevolence. Flesh and Stone, obvious defense stuff, Precision to kind of finish up our accuracy, and a little bit of crit. I'm not really scaling crit, but it doesn't hurt. And Malevolence giving more duration and more damage is nice. Then also, this is fairly new, just running in Blood Rage, and just not really doing much with the Frenzy Charges, but the Frenzy Charges do sync up with Phase Run well. So pretty much, as long as I'm blocking stuff I get Frenzy Charge on block from the passive tree, Phase Run uses those Frenzy Charges to give a longer duration, and then so Blood Rage is worth tossing in there. You could toss in other stuff. You could do like maybe a Vol skill or an Arctic Armor or something like that, but Blood Rage has been fun enough, so optional there. And then in the actual Festering Resentment itself, I went for a Mortal Call to get a Mortal Call on block with just more duration and life tap, so it's always up when I block. I've been debating, this could go to automation. It might be better on an automation. They kind of work a little differently when it's on automation versus when it's in here and it's on block. So yeah, that could be an adjustment if you wanted to go automation instead, but it works fine in the block setup here. And so yeah, that's what I've got for the items. For flasks, not too much going on. Really only the main one is just the Bleed Corrupting Blood Flask, because I don't have any jewel on the tree yet to be Corrupting Blood immune. And I haven't died from Corrupted Blood either. The audio cue when you do run into Corrupted Blood is very obvious because you're hitting so much. And I haven't, your recovery is good enough that you got plenty of time to react. So I've been totally fine with using it on a flask. I also have a poison immune flask, but I don't think I've ever run into any poison issues. You do have the two kind of unique tinctures here, which do a minimal amount. This one is okay to press, but once I got my Withering Touch, or the Withering Step, to be 15, then this becomes kind of redundant, so not too useful. And then this one's only really useful for getting the Culling Strike if you really need it, so nothing too critical here, but every once in a rare while I'll want to have a Culling Strike. You can't sustain this very well. You push this in a pack of monsters and it instantly turns off because you'll get to 100 mana burn in half a second from all the hits you're doing. But if you're one-on-one and it's a tanky Soul Eater or something and it's taking a minute to drain it down, you can hit this for Culling Strike and it's it. And then this is Curse Remove, but it's pretty unnecessary. So yeah, that's all the gear and stuff. Lots of cool synergies here. Let's take a look at the passive tree. So, key things in the passive tree is Supreme Ostentation through our Elegant Hubris here. This is key to let us actually hold the Mjölner, otherwise there's no way in hell this build would be able to get enough stats to hold it, so we go for this route instead. And other things we're getting out of this jewel is then the chance to avoid shock. So this is how we get our ailment immunity with avoid shock, and then we get avoid ailments down here, and then the Storm Shroud here, so that takes care of our elemental ailments. And then I'm also found one that's got a little bit of block. So I did want to build defensively this way, so got some block here and here. For finding a jewel that fits in this spot, you got a ton of options because all these nodes are 2 passes away. You even got these nodes over here, which are pretty accessible on this side. So you have a ton of options for trying to find a jewel that fits, and depending on how you want to build or what you want to do with it. But the key thing is just getting one to get Supreme Ostentation here. Other stuff on the tree for the Ascendancy, go Saboteur, because Saboteur is the best. We get our Trigger Bots here, so Trigger Bots is basically a 40% more damage, because instead of 1 arc, we get 2 arcs at 70%, so 140 total. And then Born in the Shadows for blind on hit helps our evasion, and the 15% reduced damage is pretty cool. And then Like Clockwork is key for our cooldown reduction to give us that extra cooldown on the actual Mjölner procs. And then went for the Bloodline here to get the level 1 Cruelty. That level 1 Cruelty is going on our Arc and gives us, up to that 40% more damage there. So it does feel a little weird to be running the Shrine Belt and not going for the extra ring, but I think this is better. You can I could see it going either way. If you could get 40% more damage out of an extra ring, then totally you'd go that way. But I think damage-wise, this is the best way, and also you're using the new stuff. Other stuff on the passive tree, the main things really are then just, I guess we'll start up here at the top, getting poison stuff, getting a bit of aura nodes, getting life. Life is kind of a premium, so taking all the life nodes I can get to easily. More poison stuff, getting this, so we're crit immune essentially, so they can't poison on hit. Spell suppress. The tree's pretty defensive, honestly. Then the Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh, the Toxic Delivery from the Assassin. That gives us like the 100% poison duration and like recover life per poison on kill. So really great recovery. We're poisoning so much, basically, I think one proc, right? As long as the Arc has enough, mobs to actually hit, then we're immediately at 20 poisons recently, giving us our full 100% duration. So essentially 100% uptime on our 100% poison duration from this. Super nice. And then other stuff on the tree. The new rune graph. So enemy poisons by you have 10% converted to chaos, which then synergizes wonderfully with our excommunicate on static strike. So everything we hit with static strike can't do chaos damage, and any of the physical damage they deal is then converted to chaos damage. Super nice combo there. Other rune graph down here is the one to not consume a cooldown on use. I'm pretty sure this works. It's basically impossible to tell in-game, but they say it works with triggered spells, so it should work where every once in a while we'll get a, back-to-back arcs from our chaining static strikes there. Another cool thing I did to get our attack block capped is using the Foulborn Might of the Meek for 100% increased, and that then boosts these two nodes from 3% to 6%. So I did this to get us just enough to get to the 75 attack block, and then also lets us boost up these nodes for more stun avoid, because stun was definitely a very annoying issue with this build until I got the tattoos for stun avoid here, and then I ended up getting a little bit more lightning res. So decent value out of the jewel, basically 6% block, 20% stun avoid, and 8% lightning res out of a jewel, so pretty happy with it. And then the rest of the passive tree in this area is just more aura effect, getting the block notes here and spell block here. And then, I guess over here we also get a little bit more spell suppress. I opted to go in this way just to get a bit more movement speed and a bit more life to capture in there. So cluster jewel. Not too much getting out of the cluster jewel. The coolest thing is getting this node here, disease vector. So anything poisoned by you cannot regenerate life, which is super useful for situations where you got life regen or consecrated ground, stuff like that, and a little bit of crit multi since we are wielding a dagger. And then also found one with this for spell block, attack block as well. So using this to cap block and turning off regen is nice. The large jewel is just giving chaos damage, and then chaos damage are increased with hinder. I don't totally love this node. This probably is better being like the explode node or just another 30 chaos damage node, but it was much cheaper to get a jewel with this node than like the ones with other nodes, so went with that. And then the medium cluster, this one's kind of also on the fence, but it's kind of neat to have the up getting those free 5 wither debuffs. when we hit an enemy. 50% chance is easily, you're going to basically instantly proc that with all the hits we do. So, without hitting the withering step, so when you're like kind of in phase run mode, running through stuff, you're getting a little bit of wither, up to 5 stacks from this, and then just a little bit more damage faster than the Storm Shroud. And yeah, that is everything on the passive tree. And then of course all the tattoos kind of fill in the gaps. So we get the rest of our stun avoid, get their, ooh, I'm missing one, get the needed a bit of cold resistance. So for resistance wise, since we're in the green section, you can kind of get more out of cold, whatever you need. And then I think the rest I just did all evasion rating. Yeah, these rest are all evasion rating. Oh yeah, a bit of accuracy, so just enough accuracy nodes to get your accuracy to 100%. And then, yeah, avoid stun. And up here just did a bit of chaos damage. Because, yeah, for chaos resistance, I actually don't have very much. The cool thing with chaos resistance, 37, okay, more than I thought. But since I'm running excommunicate, I don't worry too much about the chaos resistance itself. And I actually then run the, here we go. Running this pantheon becomes, actually, you actually get use out of the chaos resistance to get your damage over time, since like stuff like chaos ground and the little chaos volatiles, those don't get turned off. So resistance against damage over time is quite useful, where actual just pure chaos resistance against hits isn't very necessary, since I'm turning that off anyway. So yeah, running this for the pantheon, and then immune to burning ground because you have to, because there's too much of it in the game. All right, one final note: I am using normal arc here, and Arc of Oscillating is also a decent choice. The thing with Arc of Oscillating is it kind of works mechanically a bit differently, and it's, hopefully we can kind of show it here, so I'll slot one in. With Arc of Oscillating, it can kind of get stuck. So it works about the same with packs, but in some situations, it'll like, yeah, see over there, you kind of see how like the two, like if you get two mobs that are right next to each other, the oscillating will kind of like stick next to them. So that's the main difference I've noticed, and I kind of prefer the way Arc plays versus what oscillating will do. So it's kind of up to you. It's sort of a personal preference thing. In PoB, the oscillating will give you a slightly higher damage number, because you do get the like higher, more damage per each remaining chain, but also you kind of want to have it chain a bunch, so it'll drop off faster than the normal arc does. See, there you go. You kind of see how it's like, it can kind of get stuck in between two mobs that are like close to each other. And then if we go back to our normal arc, this is with regular arc. Find another pack somewhere. With regular arc, oh yeah, here you go. See, regular arc actually gets back to that totem. That's a perfect example, where normal, like oscillating, will kind of get stuck here in the front and won't actually travel farther back into the pack. Alright, so that's everything with the build. I made this pretty tanky-ish, put a lot into the defensive layers, but I think you could have a lot of fun doing this and just staying top side of the tree and putting more damage if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to go real crazy, I really would love to see somebody do a double Mjölner. You wouldn't be able to go poison, but static strike double Mjölner could be pretty crazy. So yeah, ultimately, to get started, grab one of these, and you're off to the races. This is not very expensive anymore, and these are basically free. And yeah, have a great time with it, and thanks for watching.